Hello friends of the electrified charging fun, and welcome to Electrified Speicher, your channel all around Skoda's e-mobility. My name is Matthias, and today we talk about the parking assistance systems with the Skoda ENYAQ, because that car got many of them. And maybe you're confused what the car has to offer. There are sensors, should you have 4 or 6? What about the cameras? And then there's smart or intelligent parking, and you've heard of memory parking or trained parking. And what about remote parking? And does every ENYAQ got them, or do you need a specific software version or a specific model here? Well, if you want to have some light shedded on this video is for you. And of course, we are pushing the boundaries of some of the assistance systems a bit further out. So stay tuned. Let's start with the basics. And these are the sonic sensors here. You've got 4 on the rear, there's another one, and there are the other 2. And basically, you also got 4 on the front. This is the most basic equipment every ENYAQ should have. You see one here, another one here, and again there is one and another one. But you may have 2 additional ones, not only 4 but 6. You got them on the side right here, and on the opposite side as well, and on the rear. This is the side sensor here. And basically nowadays all ENYAQs should come with them. But back in the good old days, the first ENYAQ generation with the software version 2 didn't come with 6 sensors front and rear, only with 4. And therefore they do not have that feature, trained parking. And with software version 3 back in 2022, they introduced trained parking and the additional sensors. And now you've got the software update for your old software version 2 ENYAQ, but not the new feature, because you are missing those sensors. And they cannot be retrofitted as far as I know, or at least nobody had tried until today. Now let's step one level up, and this is camera assistance. You've got one camera here on the back, you see it here, with the wiper water coming out from here. You can activate this from the inside to clean up this camera, and you've got another camera on the front, and this is basically up here. And this camera does not have any automatic cleaning mechanism. If this is dirty, you need to clean it yourself. With those 2 cameras, you get the front and the rear view and the parking assistant lines in the display to help you park your car. But you do not have the 360 camera with those 2. You need 2 additional cameras, which are in the mirrors. And you see it right here. These are the cameras left and right. You need to have the 360 camera. And with the 360 camera activated, the ENYAQ looks quite large in the image. Yes, it is. It seems that it's a bit bigger than normal, so that you have a bit room to maneuver. And it's not quite the actual size, but it's close, and it's really helpful to use the 360 camera to get into and get out of parking lots. Before we test some of the functions, let's quickly talk about the settings of your parking assistance systems. Here you go. In this menu you'll find the park distance control settings. Basically, should it activate automatically? So if you're approaching an obstacle whilst under 15 kilometers an hour, this will turn on the distance meter and the cameras. You can set the front and rear volume, and you can set how much the infotainment volume should be reduced. In the first generation ENYAQ with software version 3, you could also choose between 3 different sounds. I think it was 3. In the second generation ENYAQ, you can't choose the sound of the beep at all. The next 3 settings here are the first one, exit warning system. If you activate this, you have that yellow light in the mirrors left and right. So it is watching 35 meters behind your car whether there is another car or vehicle coming. And if you want to open the door, it shows you, hey, wait a minute, there could be a problem. Next one, maneuver braking. If you activate this function and you are approaching an obstacle with a distance meter and you are below 40 centimeters and do not stop, this will do it for you. So this is trying to avoid any collision with any object here. When we talk about maneuver braking, we need to talk about auto hold as well. You find that function under exterior brakes down here, auto hold, also as a shortcut up here. Basically, auto hold is a function that keeps your ENYAQ in place when you come to a standstill. So if you apply brakes until the ENYAQ stands, like here, then you can deactivate it as well, you can activate it as well, so that the car cannot roll anywhere. But what has this to do with maneuver braking? Well, maybe you have already experienced some very harsh braking when trying to get into a parking lot or a parking space. And basically, here's how it goes. If you have auto hold activated and the car should drive again, it needs some momentum, some power to overcome the auto hold braking. And with this excessive energy in very small environments where you navigate and maneuver, this will immediately trigger the maneuver braking. If you're really maneuvering in tight spaces, it might be really beneficial to deactivate auto hold so that this will not apply, and then you can do very smooth braking and driving, and you will not have problems with maneuver braking. So basically it could occur that auto hold and maneuver braking are interacting with each other, and you get a really hard, harsh braking experience with the ENYAQ when maneuvering. And the last one, rear traffic alert, is simply watching your blind spot when you're looking over the shoulder back if a car is approaching from left or right. And if it turns yellow, it might come to a collision, and if it turns red, it would come to a collision if you move further with your car. And now the last one, park assist with memory function. And I have no idea why they put a sub-menu for one single option. They could also put directly here, but well, it is as it is. Show information about available parking spaces. You should definitely activate this function if you use the trained parking, because then you do not have to go to the menu to start a trained parking process. You will get an info message up here in the display that it is available at the GPS position where you are. And then you can hit that and directly do the trained parking. Before we now continue with the assistance systems, we need to go into the configuration of this little P with a star. This is the trained or memory parking section here. And as you can see, I have two parking processes already defined and saved. They are grayed out, so I can't use them right now because I'm not at the right position. You can add up to 5 of them. You cannot add a fixed ones. If you want to store another one after having 5, you first need to delete one. You can do it right. The add button here is a bit confusing because basically to add a trained parking, you simply drive it, and after parking your car, you save it. You do not have to push this button in advance and do this. You do this afterward. So first just park, and then when you shut down the ENYAQ, you can use the end screen card here to hit save parking. I'll show you immediately. Another thing is, if you want to leave a parking spot, you can also train it so that you have parking and leaving the parking lot on one button. Therefore, when you are on a position where you have a parking process saved, this will be white. Then you can tap it, and then it will ask you if you want to store a parking process to leave the parking lot, and you do this here. So after entering the car, hit the park button, go here, and then you can save how to leave the parking lot. Let's have a look at the first assistant called intelligent parking. And even though that word sounds powerful, it's a rather easy and simple function we have for around 10 years or something in cars. It's when here in Park Assist, when you drive along the road, it identifies parking spots alongside the road or parallel to the road. So it will offer you to park in automatically. And I will show you 2 examples right now. And all assistant systems are able to park in and to park out again. Now let's talk about the trained parking or memory parking, which basically means that you can train the ENYAQ about 50 to 70 meters before you put the car to park to drive that completely on its own. So basically it learns how you drive it and then follows your instructions. And you can see it, I did it here on our parking lot. It's quite easy to train. You do not have to do anything, just drive to the parking lot, and when you're in it, it offers you to save the parking process. And what I did here is I did a turnaround on our property and then moved in backwards into the parking lot, and he did it quite well. Also, I trained him to drive out of the parking lot. You do this by, after exiting the car, coming back, opening the park assistant, and then go to the parking process you already stored when parking in, and then learn him to park out. Quite easy. And basically it works perfectly fine because outside there is a GPS signal, and that is mandatory. The manual already states that you can only do it where you have a stable GPS signal. But for me, this is a problem because where I want to use this system, this is our parking garage, and well, I have to drive in. So I tried that out, and basically, yes, I managed to get it to work. I drove into and trained it to drive into my parking garage and also exiting. And this is not as easy as the first parking process because first off, it will lose GPS signal when entering the parking garage. Second, there is a big gate at our parking garage, and this could be closed, so the ENYAQ should stop and then move in when the gate opens. And within, it's very tight and narrow. There are a lot of cars and not much space to maneuver. And left of my parking lot, there is a concrete pillar, and the car shouldn't hit it, but also be very close to it so that it fits into the parking lot. And yes, it does it quite well, even stopping at the gate and also exiting this. But this was not as easy as it seems, and we talk about that in the conclusion right now. As long as you have a GPS signal, everything is working fine. As the manual states, you can only use it outside when there is no roof above, which is disturbing the signal. And you saw it here on our property. I drove on it, then I turned around and moved back into the parking lot, and that worked well. He didn't hit anything. He turned around quite nicely. That was working great. Also, getting out of the parking lot was working fine. It is a whole different story when I started to try to push the boundaries and drove into our parking garage here, because that would be one main use case. Or, to be honest, I need this assistant with a regular parking lot I use more often at home or at work. And those are small and narrow ones with garages or stuff like that. That's not under the open sky. And as soon as the GPS signal got lost, it didn't work well. Yes, there was one example in this video where it worked, but I needed over a dozen tries to make it work. And if I would do outtakes, you would see it. So basically, when training him, he aborts to save the training data. When driving out, he simply didn't do it because he had no GPS signal. When driving in, he aborted it quite often. And therefore, it is very unreliable. Yes, the system is working fine, but for the use case I would assume the system is designed for, it doesn't work because it needs that GPS signal. Let's talk about the latest addition to the parking assistance system with the MEB platform, the remote parking, which basically means that you can park your car with your smartphone. And the reason that you can see me in my studio and not showing you in my ENYAQ already gives you a clue what the answer might be. Well, that feature got introduced with the ID.7 when Volkswagen released a second app called Park Assist, where you can use this functionality. If you look at the manual from a model year 2025 ENYAQ, you will find a statement that this function is available for these ENYAQs. Yet no one of my viewers ever managed to use it, even with the latest software version receiving an ENYAQ just this week. So I asked Skoda, hey Skoda, what's up here? And you know what? That's what they answered me. Remote parking for the ENYAQ is actually not available for the ENYAQ at the moment. So I asked them, when will it be available and what software version is needed? And there's no reliant information, they told me. They cannot say me when it will be available, nor what software version do you need. Since Skoda says they want to integrate that in the My Skoda app, I do not know whether you need a software update in your ENYAQ or simply need a newer My Skoda app version. No, you can't use the Park Assist app with the ENYAQ, so yes, you are reliant on Skoda providing this. Then I asked them, well, will it ever come to the ENYAQ? And the answer is yes, they want to bring it to the ENYAQ. And since they can't tell me with which software version, I imagine you'll need an update. But what about older ENYAQs? Will they get an update too? So I asked them about the first generation ENYAQ, software version 3? And the answer, you might imagine already, is no. You will never get remote parking. Then I asked them about the second generation ENYAQ, because as of now, no ENYAQ has it. So software version 4 ENYAQs, will they get it? And the answer was no. Also, software version 4, second generation ENYAQ, will not get it because it cannot be integrated in the existing software versions. I didn't ask specifically about the software version 5 as I assumed it will be available for them, but if they tell me they can't integrate it in existing software versions, the question might arise, can they integrate it in the model year 2025 software version 5.0, 5.2? I don't know, they didn't give me an answer on that, but it seems that they again did what they did so often. They cannot retrofit purely software functionality to older ENYAQs. Well, of course you can say, I didn't buy that functionality, why should I get it? But isn't that the reason for regular software updates, bringing software-based functions to older models to keep them improved and a better residual value? Isn't that what it's meant to be for? And all I have here for information seems that at a certain point in the future the ENYAQ will have it, but they can't retrofit it, and this is simply, to be honest, a shame. So, do you use the parking assistance systems in daily life? Are they helpful for you? Write me down in the comments, let's discuss, because to be honest, yes, I am using the cameras quite often. Also the distance meter is really helpful, but trained parking or smart parking, I barely make use of this or even never. What about you? Are you using these functions on a regular basis? Write me down in the comments. And what do you think about remote parking and how Skoda is handling that if this is not retrofitted in old cars? Again, let's discuss this topic. I'm really interested in your opinion. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and consider to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel to help it grow. If your support goes even a bit further, you'll find a PayPal link in the description for a small donation, or consider to use my Amazon affiliate link to the homepage so I get a small commission when you buy stuff there, and for you it doesn't get more expensive. And then let's see each other in the next video, and until then, stay full of energy.